Alright guys, welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video on my channel. So, as I've mentioned yesterday, today we're going to take a look at some of the early decks which I think are going to be probably the best decks which you could be using to the start of this new season, right? So the new season is ending, the current season is ending tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching this video. And the new season is going to begin on the 30th straight away, right? So the new cards are dropping, the new season is beginning, and so forth. And obviously not everyone is going to be ready, and we're going to take a look at a few decks. So without further ado, let's actually start with our first deck. So Beedrill EX. Now the way you're seeing this deck here right now is already one of those decks which is currently pretty solid already, right? The way this deck is being played, we're running here. So there is a format, right? We're going to run 2-1-2, which basically means 2 basic Pokemon, 1 stage 1 and 2 stage 2, right? We're running here Meowscarada times 1, the whole evolution line, and then 2 times Beedrill EX, 1 time the entire evolution line, and 1 time with just Kokuna times 1, right? We're also running 2 times rare candy here, because this one will actually allow us to bring our Pokemon forth faster, and we're also running an Iono here. Now, the good thing about this deck is we don't really need any Pokemon communication or anything, because every basic Pokemon here is able to call forth another Pokemon, which is gonna be great, because that way we're able to thin out the deck even further and get exactly what we want to have onto our hand. We're also running 1 Erica just for some healing in between. And Cyrus and Sabrina are going to be very effective here as well. Now, this deck is extremely fast. If you can pull it off early on with Rare Candy, Beedrill EX, we're almost won. Because the opponent cannot really do anything. Because Beedrill EX will always keep stealing energy. So this deck is pretty much broken as it is already. Now, the next deck we're taking a look at is this Gengar deck and Rayquaza EX. Now, this deck has been recommended to me, right? So this Gengar is already one of my favorites, because this Gengar essentially has the nasty, disgusting ability, which basically just blocks your opponent from using support cards, which is just beyond broken. On top of that, it does 50 damage for one energy, so the opponent cannot really get rid of it. The opponent can't use Professor Oak's research, Sabrina, Sarah's, whatever. The opponent just got to take damage from front, from the behind, whatever. And on top of that, we're playing the new Rayquaza EX. And I really like this card. I do like it so much because it's a basic Pokemon. It runs with colorless energy and it does damage. So idea behind this deck is to essentially bring Gengar to the front, right? Let him deal with everything. Build Rayquaza up on the bench, and then just utilize Leaf whenever you can to just bring Rayquaza to the front and deal damage, right? That's the whole idea. Now, that was a recommendation of the deck I actually have gotten. Now, another version how you could be playing this deck would be running 2 times Giratina instead, right? Instead of Rayquaza, running 2 times Giratina here. Which definitely will also be able to work well. Now, if you're running Giratina here, you probably may want to think about running a Dawn in the deck as well, because that way you're able to actually maybe switch around energy. But the way the deck already is like this, I'm pretty sure this is going to be very solid as well, because you can build up Giratina again on the bench, bring your Gengar, your normal Gengar to the front, and then just deal damage with it, right? Obviously, thinking about a solo Gengar EX deck would also be very viable, because that one would also be very disgusting. But I think we're going to talk about that one in a separate video. Now, another great deck, which in my opinion will perform extremely well, is Charizard EX. Now, in this case, we're running 2 Charizard. Run the old one and the new one. Obviously, you could run a deck using only the one from Shining Revelry, or you're going to use one from the old Genetic Apex, or you're going to run a deck with both, right? Now, the deck built here is being taken from a player who's highly ranked in Master Ball currently. So essentially, we're running a copy of his deck, however, with a twist. We're running Rare Candy in here, and we're also running leaf. Now, we're actually running only one leaf. There is still two, but it doesn't really matter. Instead of that one leaf, you may want to throw a Sabrina in there, or maybe some healing, or maybe something else, maybe even a second Iono. I don't know about that, right? But that is essentially the deck. So the idea behind it is, ideally we're starting with Moltres, right? We got Shaman on the bench, and maybe Charmander, and we're gonna get ready as quick as possible to bring our Charizard to the front, right? Utilizing rare candy. That way we can just immediately pull back our Moltres, bring Charmander to the front, or Charizard, and then utilize the... I actually would prefer the new Charizard even more because of the Stoke ability, right? The Stoke ability, the Stoke attack is just too nice, because that way you're able to actually grab a hold of the energy. Looking at the other one, I don't really know. I mean, it's still taken a lot of time to build up in comparison to the new one. So I would actually prefer the new one, to be honest. But it depends on your personal playstyle. Shaman is just there for some casual healing on the side, I guess. Definitely something you can switch out, bring in something else. It's up to you guys. But that is just another deck which I can actually very much picture right at the top. Alright, next up we are running Alolan Marowak. This one here is my favorite. Now you're wondering, why is Druddigon in there? Actually Druddigon is just a space holder, spot holder. We are actually planning to throw Tortunator in there, because if you're taking a look at Kiawe, he will actually have a condition for Tortunator and Alolan Marowak. So since we don't know how Tortunator will be in the game as of yet, and so forth, I'm putting Druddigon in there. But we know Tortunator is going to be a basic Pokemon, so it will fill the spot. So just imagine this is going to be that deck, right? So we're playing Cubone here, ×2, and then we're playing Alolan Marowak, right? Let's get rid of the... or let's actually keep the others. So the cool thing about Kiawe is, we will get rid of the energy requirements, essentially, because we're just using Kiawe, drop 2 energies on Alolan Marowak or Tortunator, end our turn. Next turn, we're ready to deal damage. And the crazy thing is, Marowak is able to do 140 damage, essentially 150, because he's able to burn the opponent if the coin flips are going well, which is just pretty much broken. And I do actually think this deck is also going to perform extremely well, since it's going to be quite fast. I mean, we're only running stage 1 Pokemon here, or 2 basic Pokemon, depending on what setup you're playing, right? Thanks to Kiawe, we're going to get fairly quickly our energy, and we're able to deal a ton of damage, right? And also passive damage due to burning. I'm already assuming that Tortunator is also going to do some kind of status condition, but I don't know yet, right? But essentially, that is another deck which I recommend, and I highly anticipate actually Alolan Marowak. Actually, feel like this card is going to be very, very tough to deal with for a lot of decks out there, which do take a bit longer to build up. Alright, so we're actually running another deck here, which is Rampardos. Now, this one's already broken as of yet, and this one was actually inspired by a YouTube viewer on my German channel, so thanks for the recommendation for the video. This one here is essentially very busted, because we're running 2 times the entire evolution line of Rampardos, 2 times rare candy, giving us the maximum output of bringing Rampardos onto the field as quick as possible. We're running 2 times Iono here, and Chatot. No, wait. Let's quickly... Alright, pardon me, just clicked something wrong. So we're running 2 times Iono here and Chatot. Now Chatot is going to help us a lot also to bring forth the Pokemon or the hand we want. And the good thing is, we're not running any EX card. That means we are not losing 2 points. As also, we're running 1 red and 1 Giovanni here. Why? Because imagine facing a Meowscarada, right? You're gonna be stuck with a Pokemon which has some HP left. So essentially, Giovanni is there to break some of these Pokemon for us in case we encounter them. And I actually do think this one is going to be also extremely well performing. I mean, obviously, you could play a variant of running Lucario and stuff like that. That would also be not too bad. But yeah, that one is definitely one of the decks which I recommend as well playing in the new season. So, last but not least, one of the decks which I actually think will make the biggest return of 2025 will be Mewtu. Because Mewtu actually with Gardevoir, since Gardevoir is able to evolve quicker, is probably going to be the most dangerous force to be reckoned with. With Red, Mewtu is going to be able to do 170 damage. Gardevoir will ramp up the energy so fast, most decks will not be able to cope with the pressure this deck is going to make if you're pulling the right cards, right? Because Mewtu on the field, already very high HP. We're also already running Giovanni just in case that we're facing like 160 Pokemon, HP Pokemon without Bane EX, right? That may be the case. So, that's why I'm running one Giovanni. Obviously, you can throw a Giovanni, throw in another red in there. It's up to you guys. Obviously, that's just there. But this deck, definitely, we're also, again, running the 2-1-2, right? So 2 basic Pokemon, 1 stage 1, and 2 stage 2, right? Also running 2 Capes for more survivability. Iono, we're also already running Communication. Mask just to disrupt the gameplay of the opponent. Again, 2 rare candies. That's the deck. And I'm actually seeing right now we're missing the Pokeball from the previous one. Actually, we were gonna remove probably one of the capes and probably gonna remove the Pokemon Center lady and throw in the Pokeballs in there. Thanks for actually pointing that out. I almost forgot about that. But yeah, that's essentially the deck I see very, very much at the top, right? Definitely one of those decks which I can imagine having a good return in this year. And with that being said, that's the decks, the 6 decks which I actually recommend for the start of the new season. Now, there is probably a ton of other decks which may be worth playing, right? Nevertheless, these decks are probably going to make the top cut when it comes to the beginning of the season, because everyone's going to play around with different kind of decks. But I would like to hear your thoughts on it, so do drop it down below in the comment sections if you have any additional decks which you think may perform very well. Obviously, these are all early deck builds. We don't know the entire set cards yet, so we don't really know what else is gonna work and whatnot and so forth. So yeah, that's gonna be very tough to say, but with the cards we know as of now, this is the best we could do actually in the current state, right? And another thing, whoever hasn't joined our Discord yet, do go ahead and join. Guys, we're over 1,000 members. We're probably the biggest TCG Pocket German-speaking community, by the way. I do have to mention that. But we also have English-speaking channels. And obviously, English is an international language. And I'm German and I speak English, right? And a lot of people on our server actually do speak English as well. So do join, right? The link is down below in the video description. Everyone is welcome. Again, and we're also making a new tournament, right? We are hosting every 2 weeks a big tournament on our server over on Limitless as well. So the tournament's going to be hosted via Limitless. So anyone wanting to join, do join our server. You will find all the informations which you will need to know about the tournaments. And yeah, with that being said, I'm going to conclude the video now. Thanks for tuning in. Take care of yourselves. Until next time.